don't need to tell me how to apologise to people. I've been apologising to people on a daily basis since I was 6 years old. Don't ask questions, Lloyd, not until you stop dressing like Paula Poundstone. Goodbye, Toby. It's been nice. Hasn't anyone ever told you, Lemon? Never follow a hippie to a second location. Obviously, you've never been ringside when a pole dancer hangs upside down. Denny Crane, before the Supreme Court. We could sell tickets. Always blame the victim. I have an addiction. Would you condemn this woman to a life where people have to look at her face every time they talk to her? We have to move the island. What you call love was invented by guys like me to sell nylons. Plenty of memorable lines in TV the past season. None more important than, and the Emmy goes to. You're watching The Noble Truth. G'day and welcome to The Noble Truth, September 2008. Annual Emmy Awards. Now, some very distinguished shows competing against each other. Let's have a look. Entourage is a show about a group of young Hollywood movie stars going around trying to be famous, having a lot of one-night stands with incredibly beautiful women and partying it up. Now, until I become a big-time movie star, Entourage, I completely and utterly condemn the lifestyle you glorify. 2.5 Men. Now, I've never liked Fractions, so that series is out for me. Curb Enthusiasm. Now, this show follows around Larry David. And in real life this year, Larry David got a divorce from his wife, who was the Oscar-winning producer for Al Gore's propaganda movie, Inconvenient Truth. Good on you, Larry David, cutting loose that loony liberal. The opposite show about an everyday American workplace. And 30 Rock is a show about people working in the television industry, where all voters in the Academy work. I wonder which show they're going to award. Dexter is a show about a serial killer, but he kills people who do bad things, such as murderers or rapists or whatever. Now, I said all those Dexter huggers out there, he does not have the right to play God and kill people just because he thinks they did the wrong thing. For his actions, we all know Dexter Morgan deserves the death penalty. Then there was House. Now, I'm not a big fan of House either. It's such an unrealistic show. When House says offensive things to women, it's funny. But when I say offensive things to women, I get a slap in the face. Lost. Now, here's a show I do like. Any show which has people trying desperately to get off the island, and then once they get off the island, deciding that they actually need to be back on the island, is, I think, a convincing argument against liberalism and change. Just stay where you are, be happy where you are. Damages. You had the rich lawyer, Glenn Close, taking on the rich billionaire, Ted Danson. And what I liked about that show was that either result, a rich person was going to be making more money. But the winner here was either going to come down to bed-hopping lawyers or bed-hopping ad executives. Boston Legal, a likable Emmy-winning Republican character, Denny Crane. So it gives me something to root for. Mad Men was so refreshing to go back to a simpler time when women knew their place. In the kitchen, in the laundry, and in the bedroom. And they weren't afraid to say these little words.
You were right, I'm so sorry.
January Jones, marry me. But who ended up winning? Let's have a look at my real-time reactions.
Jeremy Piven, Entourage.
Yes.
Gene Smart, Samantha Hope.
I just want one of the Damages guys to win. They were great.
Yes! 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 Diane Winston.
Yeah! She's not here, so we don't have to sit through her acceptance speech.
Alec Baldwin, 31. Glenn Close, Canada.
Yes! Bryan Cranston.
Oh!
Tina Fey.
I'm actually happy she won.
30 Rock.
And the Emmy goes to Mad Men.
Good choice. Good choice. They couldn't go wrong though.
Oh, but now it's not cool. it's too popular.
Oh, can't get enough of those luggage drops. Don't usually do this. just having a bit of a Mad Men celebratory smoke. They do it in Mad Men, and they just won an Emmy, so it must be fine. Oh. Let's have a look at the race to replace. Race to replace! Welcome to the race to replace for September. First things first, John McCain had to choose a running mate.
I told Congress, thanks, but no thanks for that bridge to nowhere up in Alaska. If our state wanted a bridge, we were going to build it ourselves.
Man, look at this liberal bias attack.
Pretty clearly documented. You supported that bridge before you opposed it, but you turned against it after Congress had basically pulled the plug on it, after it became apparent that the state was going to have to pay for it, not the Congress, and after it became a national embarrassment to the state of Alaska. So do you want to revise and extend your remarks?
It has always been an embarrassment that abuse of the earmark process. I mean, every state has their embarrassment.
But you were for it before you were against it. You were solidly for it for quite some period of time until Congress pulled the plug.
I was for infrastructure being built in the state, and it's not inappropriate for a mayor or for a governor to request and to work with their Congress and their congressmen, their congresswomen, to plug into the federal budget, along with every other state, a share of the federal budget for infrastructure.
Then, of course, the Republican National Convention had to get underway. In a true measure of putting country before party, John McCain decided to practically scrap the first day of the convention because of the national disaster of Hurricane Gustav, giving up all chance of that 10-point bump that would have almost certainly been brought on by the appearance of George W. Bush. Day 2 and the convention finally got underway. Day 3 brought up some familiar faces from the Republican primary.
I am so tired of hearing about her lack of experience.
And lucky, at the Republican convention, no one mentioned Sarah Palin's lack of experience. With Obama leading in the polls, the Republicans knew they needed to go after his weakness. And with so many weaknesses of Obama, they had to pick the worst.
He worked as a community organizer. What?
Sarah Palin!
I guess a small-town mayor is sort of like a community organizer, except that you have actual responsibilities.
That'll make people think twice before going out there and helping their poor communities. They should be in positions of executive leadership where they can give tax cuts to rich people.
I think we made the right choice for the next vice president of the United States.
Yes, oh gosh, yes. And there was the final day of the convention, and with all the excitement of Sarah Palin's speech the day before, I forgot who this guy speaking was. I was later reminded that it was John McCain, and he is the candidate for president. But all the metaphorical balloons and streamers would soon subside as the economic crisis hit America at the end of September. John McCain announced he was suspending his campaign, and after completing a television interview, spending a night in New York, attending a political function, and continuing to run his ads across the country, flew straight, directly to Washington, D.C. to sort out a deal in Congress that was almost complete. Unfortunately, and it's pure coincidence, as soon as he got to DC, the deal fell apart, and that just did not look good. But he said he was going to stick there right until the deal was broken, and luckily, he said the deal was in safe hands, and he could, in fact, make the first presidential debate. Unfortunately, Congress did end up voting against the bill, but that's just a technicality. She's an incredible woman. The September 2008 saw the passing of a true great, Paul Newman. So, I recommend this month, rent one of Paul Newman's great movies. Could be The Sting, and get some of his famous pasta sauce. It's great stuff, and all the proceeds of the pasta sauce go to charity. Thanks for watching The Noble Truth.